All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really simple idea that has, well, huge consequences. What if we could just get rid of one of the biggest sources of conflict in sales and marketing? We're going to look at a standard that brings a new level of trust and clarity to a word we all think we know.
Okay, so let's just start with a super basic question. What is a lead? Is it just a name on a spreadsheet, a phone number, and email? You'd be surprised, but the truth is, in a lot of industries, there's just no single answer. And not confusion, it isn't just annoying, it costs businesses real money. And this slide, it lays it out perfectly. It's really the two sides of the same coin. On one side, you've got the messy reality of what most leads are. They're inconsistent, they're ambiguous, and honestly, they're a constant source of arguments. But on the other side, you've got the vision TCL is putting forward, a lead as a governed commercial product. It's standardized, trustworthy, and completely auditable. The whole point here is to swap that chaos for some serious clarity.
And look, this isn't just some academic problem, right? When you don't have a clear definition, it leads to real-world pain. You get arguments over invoices, you get delayed payments, and you can even get damaged business relationships. It's a systemic issue that really just comes from not agreeing on what's being bought and sold.
So, okay, how do you fix this mess? The answer is, you've got to create a really rigorous standard. So let's dive into the solution that TCL came up with, which basically redefines a lead from this vague idea into a manufactured product with super precise specifications. And here it is. This is the heart of the whole thing, the formal definition of a TCL cost per lead, or CPL. Just notice how precise this is. It's not just any contact. It's a live transfer or a verified call from someone with clear intent who meets all the criteria. Every single word here is chosen to kill any guesswork. Now, this standardized product, it basically comes in two main flavors. First up, you've got warm transfers. This is a live agent-to-agent handoff, and it really represents the highest level of consumer intent you can get. And then, when you need more volume, you've got verified inbounds, where a consumer calls in and goes through that same strict verification process.
All right, let's really break down what a warm transfer is. This is not a cold call, not even close. A trained agent has already been on the phone with the consumer. They've confirmed their interest and their eligibility, they've handled all the compliance stuff, and then they connect them live to the buyer. So what's a big takeaway here? No voicemails, no phone tag, just a confirmed, high-intent conversation ready to go.
Okay, so how does a plain old contact turn into one of these certified billable CPLs? Well, it all goes down in what the source calls the engine room. It's this mandatory 4-layer verification process that every single lead has to pass through. No skipping steps. This visual does a great job of showing the whole journey. It all kicks off with verifying genuine intent. Then it moves on to validating eligibility. Is this even the right person for this specific campaign? After that, it's all about compliance, getting consent and disclosures documented. And finally, a quality assurance review checks the entire interaction. Think of it like a funnel, or maybe even a gauntlet. Only the absolute best contacts make it out the other side.
And I want to be super clear about this. There are zero exceptions. If a lead fails at any one of these 4 stages, it's out. It doesn't get passed on, and it definitely doesn't get billed. The standard is absolute. Period.
You see, with a system like this, compliance isn't some afterthought. It's not just a box you check at the end. No, it's baked right into the process from the very beginning. Every lead is ready for an audit from the get-go with recorded calls, timestamped consent, and total traceability. It's about building a compliant product, not just hoping it passes a check later. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What actually makes the final cut? And to make sure there's absolutely no confusion, the standard is super clear about what a CPL is and, maybe even more importantly, what it is not. So for a call to actually count as a billable TCL CPL, it has to hit every single one of these points. It's got to be a live connection from a consumer with verified intent who meets all the campaign rules and passes every single compliance, QA, and duration check. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful checklist.
And on the flip side, here's everything that's explicitly kicked out. A TCL CPL is never going to be a voicemail, an old recycled lead, an unverified callback, or any call that bombs the quality checks. By being so upfront about these nevers, the system pretty much slams the door on any loopholes and stops arguments before they even start.
This quote right here from the source material just nails the entire philosophy. It's the ultimate litmus test, right? If you can't defend a lead during an audit or a review, it's not billable.
It is that simple. This is what radical accountability actually looks like in practice.
So, you might be wondering, what does this level of quality actually do for performance? Well, the source gives us some historical data from similar campaigns, and it shows that warm transfers can convert somewhere in that 20–30% range. The big takeaway here isn't about a guarantee, it's about consistency. When you have a standardized input, you get much more predictable results.
All right, so after all this work, what's the big payoff? Why does having such a strict definition actually create more value for everyone? Let's take a look at the impact. For the people buying these leads, the benefits are crystal clear. You get predictable quality. You get consistency. You have audit-ready documentation for every single lead, which massively reduces your compliance risk. And with that centralized accountability, you know exactly who's on the hook for these standards. It builds trust. And the result of that trust? It's huge. When you have a clear, non-negotiable definition of what you're buying and selling, you see a massive drop in billing disputes, over 80% according to the source. When everyone's on the same page about what's being delivered, there's just a whole lot less to argue about.
And that, of course, has a direct economic impact. Fewer arguments mean faster, more reliable payments. That stability creates predictable revenue for the producers. So you see, this isn't just about arguing over a word. It's a core economic control that makes things better for everyone involved.
All right, let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, a TCL CPL is a governed product, not some fuzzy contact. It's created through a mandatory verification process with quality that's built in right from the start. And most importantly, having this clear definition protects everybody, both buyers and sellers.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've just seen how powerful it is to standardize one single ambiguous term, how it can slash conflict and build trust. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what ambiguous part of your own business is just waiting for a clear, powerful standard? Thanks for watching.